Hey all, it's David Ducker coming back at you, and today I'm going to be doing a video recap for a Return of the Runefangs episode 11. When we last left our daring heroes, they had destroyed the Hands of Fate Thieves Guild, probably manipulated into doing this by the Bridge Rats Thieves Guild, their arch rivals. They thought, in fact, they were raiding the guild hall of the Bridge Rats. In fact, they had raided the guild hall of the Hands of Fate, and they destroyed them. I'm sure, much to the pleasure of the Bridge Rats, the party's arch enemies. So that is where we left them off. As we return to them, they're standing outside the destroyed guild hall. It's still on fire. There's a bucket brigade forming. And they're standing there kind of wondering how they got manipulated into this. And Ulrich is kind of casting suspicious glances towards their new good friend, theadore, who is the squire, the new squire of Gregor Ullman, their Pegasus Knight ally. Because apparently the information, the intelligence about whose guild hall this was, apparently came to them from theadore, from his very trusted source. So Ulrich's a little suspicious of him at that moment. But we do rejoin them, and Gregor at this point says, okay, I've helped you destroy the Thieves Guild. It might not have been the Thieves Guild you wanted to destroy, but our bargain was I help you with that, and then you help me hunt some manticores. And the party kind of begrudgingly says, well, a deal's a deal. We kind of have to go with you now to the Black Mountains to hunt manticores. Even though it seemed a little bit out of their way at the time. But so they started to ready themselves for their expedition. Sir Blaine, who had procured the services of Grom Norn, the dwarven gunsmith, had put Grom to work previously, constructing a new suit of armor for him. So he wanted to make sure that something was going to be ready for their journey. So far, he's only got a breastplate ready, but that's okay. Aber of Averham, is of course the squire, the secondary squire of Gregor Ullman, so he's preparing his Pegasus. Augustus, I believe is the name of his Pegasus. He's preparing him and grooming this magnificent animal. And theadore slinks off to try and get some more contacts going on. Ulrich, I believe, had some words with Gregor about the planning. Going into slaying manticores and what there is to watch out for when you're talking about a manticore. And I'm trying to think if we're missing anyone there. I don't think we are, except of course for James's character. But as they're going about this, though, a procession begins to form from the docks right up to the castle of Averheim, the Castle of Skulls. This procession with banners flying, the county colors, which are of course gold and black, the gold sun on a black field. And this procession is moving forward. There's trumpets, there's men-at-arms, there's pennons flying. And the Countess has actually returned from Nuln. She's returning from court. So there are various different places throughout the city. All the player characters see this. It's like a parade. All the peasants have gathered, and Countess Darlene is riding her stallion, and she's throwing coins to the people. Of course, at her side is still Ramsay Holloman, the Baron of House Holloman, and both of their retinues. Iso Cedar, the Pegasus Knight, is there. Ramsay's own courtiers are there. Marvin Czar, his steward, his sister Wilhelmina Holloman, and his personal bodyguard Hildebrand Servatius, the bad man from Abraham, former judicial champion who's moved out into bodyguard work, if the pay is right, if the price is right, and for a baron, you better believe that it is. But in addition to this fairly expected group of individuals, although the timing is a little suspect, but in addition to this, we see Theodore Lyons, the knight of the most noble order of the Blazing Sun, riding there alongside Countess Darlene and Baron Ramsay. And the player characters saying, "Oh my God, there's Theodore, our friend. Like, we thought he was lost in the shipwreck, in the great battle on the River Aver, when Selrak the Selax and his ship, the Bitch's Fury, pulled up and attacked La Guadalquivir and sunk it. Both ships locked together, sunk to the bottom of the river. There were very few survivors, and they thought that Theodore was among the casualties. But here he shows up, not only alive, but in a parade with the Countess of Averland herself. So Ulrich sees this, the Veiled Knight sees this, and he starts yelling at him in the crowd, you know, "Theodore, what happened? I thought you were dead. It's so good to see you." Theodore kind of pulls off from the parade, and he says that you know, all of his questions will be answered in due time, and for now he is a vassal of the Countess, and she saved his life. And Ulrich needs to come to the castle, and they have many important matters to discuss. So Ulrich's kind of shocked by this. He's kind of suspicious, because the Countess has been a little suspicious in her dealings and her allies, namely the rumors that she is in fact allied with the Bridge Rats themselves. That she's you know, perhaps the woman behind the woman, so to speak, since both factions are headed by women. But needless to say, Ulrich does agree to come to Castle Averheim and meet with Theodore there, and once again with the Countess as well. So with that, we break off, and they prepare themselves for dinner with the Countess once again. Actually, I think this was closer to lunch, but they prepare for the Countess. They head up to the Castle of Skulls. We had a great scene with them coming through the castle. Every castle they go into, I have to describe all the tapestries, because the tapestries tell the history of each house. So the history of House Nestel is there, written on the walls for all to see. How they've never fallen to any siege before in 2,000 years, throughout 5 major wars, and they're still undefeated. At least in terms that their city has never been, their castle has never been taken. The city, I believe, has been taken, but not the actual keep, the castle. It's always withstood and endured. So all of the tapestries kind of reflect this, and the die-hard nature of the defenders. But eventually they come in, and they're talking with Sir Theodore now, the Countess, Nestel, and Baron Ramsay. Baron Ramsay, of course, he's 14 years old. He's just beginning to come into his own as a knight. His parents, of course, were killed by orcs. And he's largely been raised by his steward, Marvin. He does have his older sister, Wilhelmina, there as well, who Ulrich has some romantic entanglements with from his past, before his face was destroyed, before he became the Veiled Knight. But we had a great dinner scene. Theodore now is very much on the side of the Countess, and he's saying, these offers the Countess made towards you for alliance between House Berengar and House Nestel, they're actually a really good idea. The Blazing Sun, my order is now with the Countess, and you should be too. So Needless to say, Ulrich is still very suspicious. He doesn't know why the Countess is gathering all these allies together. But he says once again, I've pledged my mace, in this case, to House Charrington and their crusade, and to House Crus and their crusade. My business is to the north, not to the east. So they kind of go back and forth, and Blaine, of course, is right there. Blaine Charrington, he's saying, yes, the crusade is important. We need to stop the vampires from the north, or else what happens in the east doesn't matter, because the vampires will show up, and they'll be hungry. They're always hungry. So there's again this kind of stalemate where nothing's really decided upon, but we learn a little bit more about the Countess's motivations and about her relationship with Ramsay, and how things are actually fitting together there. So some of the politics were revealed. A very fun role-playing scene, especially James, the player of Sir Theodore, got to have some really good intrigue about how the Countess fished him out of the river, and some bargains were struck, possibly at the tip of a sword. But now he is firmly an ally of House Nestel, and he hopes that this doesn't conflict with his loyalties to House Berengar, so they can all be one big happy family. Of course, as I said, the only problem is Sir Blaine has his own mission, and House Berengar is already committed to that mission. So great politics. Sir Theodore is kind of trying to weasel around behind Sir Blaine's back, and Ulrich is trying to make this hard decision. Which of his friends does he back up? One has a clear goal, and one is not being entirely honest, not as forthright as Sir Blaine. So a lot of fun with that scene. Great politicking. And then we ended with the dinner party ended, basically, or in this case, lunch ended, and they were breaking out and getting ready to proceed on their mission to the east. And as this is breaking out, Aber and Donior kind of return to them, and they've gathered more intelligence, and they say that the Bridge Rats hadn't holed up in that guild hall like they thought. They actually had arrived by the river, but then left on horseback, and they headed off to the east, to the Black Mountains, apparently having some kind of dealing with orcs, but definitely heading off for the Black Mountains with rumors of orc alliances. So this coincidentally is where Gregor Ullman is going as well. And of course Ulrich is looking at this like, I don't believe in coincidences, and everyone else seems to be going along with it perfectly well, but he still remains very suspicious about it. And we're just starting to get really into the great part of the campaign where every player character has their own motivations, their own agendas, and nobody can really trust anybody, but they're still working as a team, and they're trying to scheme behind each other's backs and mislead each other. So this is what the Game of Thrones RPG is all about, and it's a tremendous amount of fun because each player has their own faction involved with Ulrich and House Berengar, with Blaine and House Charrington, with Theodore and the Noble Order of the Blazing Suns. Donior and Aber, may have their own factions that they're involved with as well that have not been revealed fully, which is probably the most fun part as well, because they get to keep that secret and have these reveals. And I'm going to actually film a couple more videos tonight because it's been a while since I filmed, and we're definitely going to have some reveals coming up in future sessions as well. So Great session, great success, great role playing, and it really set us up very, very well to come into session 12. So I'm going to film that video right now. Session 12, we got a co-GM, and we switched back and did a different style of session from this very role play heavy session. So look forward to that video. I'm also going to plug the Facebook page. If you want to follow along, all the major NPCs have portraits on the Facebook page, and we've got all our maps there, so you can follow the course of the party. We've got notes on the setting. We've got the calendar on there, so it's a great tool to help you follow along with the videos and say, oh, he's talking about Baron Ramsey. Oh, that guy, yeah. Or, you know, Marvin Czar, who is he again? Oh, here's his portrait, and here's, you know, 2 sentences about him. That's all you need. That's all you need for a video recap that's only 15 minutes long. The players know a lot more about them. But for the viewing audience at home, it should definitely be a great tool. So just go on Facebook, type in Return of the Runefangs, spelled just the same as this video is, and it'll really help you follow along. So I'm going to sign out now. Everybody have yourself a good day in YouTube land.